My name is Cassy Summers. Welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. Welcome everyone to the Curious Universe. I'm here with the wonderful, excited Michael Ocher. Thank you so much for joining me. We've been kind of back and forth talking about topics, and we were going to explore creating your life. And I love this because I'm new to you. Like I haven't even met you in person yet. But what's one thing I noticed about you is that you seem to create your life in this really interesting and fun way that could maybe contribute to a lot of people. So, we're just to jump into there, and then maybe we'll talk about like who you are after. But so when you want to create your life, like you were in Algar, you live in a completely different country than you grew up in. Share a little bit with the audience. Like, how does that work for you? What are you asking? What are you looking at when you're making choices and creating your life?
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor. I'm very excited. Also, we don't know each other that well, but you're really fantastic. So very, very happy to be here. Yeah, so creating your life and you know what's funny when you're saying this, it's I had a little bit of a resistance to it, which was really interesting. So you're saying this and you're giving me this credit, and I'm like, really? Like, so, but you know what? I agree. You are right. I've been, ever since I discovered these tools like 2 years ago, and I started to play around with access consciousness tools, etc. I started to realize that it kind of dawned on me that you're constantly creating your life. You can be doing it from an unconscious space where you presume, it's an accident, it might happen if you're lucky enough, etc. And then just sobering up and just going to this space and just owning it and being like, wow, wait a minute, I am creating my future. I am creating my life. I'm creating all the experiences that I have around me. And also I study and teach the wisdom of Kabbalah, which is also all about that, right? So these two things together, when they come together, and when they came together for me, it was this very strong awareness and very strong kind of waking up to this beautiful truth. It was, in the beginning, it was maybe I had resistance to it, but then I came to this place that it's just like, wow, I cannot be a victim. I can't blame anyone for what's happening in my life. I can't expect others to deliver what I want without me like verbally expressing it. So I came to this place where I was like, okay, what do I want my life to be like? What do I want my future to be like? What do I enjoy in my life? What do I like having? Who do I like having? Where do I like living? What do I like doing? All these questions started to come up. And I don't know if you've ever been in that space, but the beginning was kind of like a goldfish. I was like, I don't know. So there was this phase of like total like oblivion kind of and void. I'm like, I have no idea what I want. I have no idea what I didn't know. I didn't have, and you're not supposed to look for answers, but I didn't even have anything coming to me specifically, right? But it was committing to asking these questions that eventually I did start to get that sense much, much more of, okay, what future do I want to have? What future with my body do I want to have? What financial reality do I want to have? What friendships, relationships, what is it that I want? And the more I started to get the sense out of it, the next step was it's me who's the source of it. It's me who is the one who needs to change something, do something, be something in order for it to show up in my life, right? So it's this ownership, and I don't know why I like to use the word like sobering up and really being much more clear, aware, and present, and
Mm.
not being so. Because like I did a podcast with Simone, and it was about finances. And something that she inspired me is she was sharing that, yeah, I was just, I was living in debt, but I was expecting it to just magically fall on me, it just all of a sudden magically comes to me. So I still probably am a little bit, but much less being in this, I don't know what you want to call it, like fantasy space of like just dream, just like hope and dream. Like, yeah, one day it's just going to resolve. One day it's just going to be better. One day it's just going to be. And that was like, wow, I'm wasting so much time and wasting so much energy instead of just being like, wait, what can I do to create that? So it's kind of like the philosophy that I got to, or the awareness that I got to, um, that led me to this.
Yeah, I love that you're bringing that up because I've always been a dreamer, like big dreams. And I know other people that are dreamers, and they almost think that this, what you're talking about, like taking action and being the source, like you lose the dream. But what I've discovered is rather than losing the dream or the fantasy, it's you get to live the dream.
Yeah,
Like it actualizes it. It's so much greater because it's like we could imagine what it would be like to look at a pyramid or touch one, and then you could actually go be there. And it's actually, what if it's so much more powerful and more beautiful than you ever imagined it possibly could be?
yeah, totally, totally. And the beauty of it also is what I came to once I started to do all this is also to all the things that came to me, like for example, uh, believing that it's just a dream or hoping, and then also you mentioned something just now that also resonate is kind of being in that space that if I'm taking the ownership of it,
Mm.
then it makes it less dreamy, less like, oh, it's such a nice just why can't it just happen to me just because, why do I have to create it?
Yeah. So could we reverse a little bit? Because you were talking about something that I know so many people have struggled with. Is they go to ask that question, yeah, what would I like my life to be like? And it was blank. And you said for a while it was just kind of, so
Yeah.
for you, what was that process? Just you kept asking the question. Did you do anything else? Like what were the tools you used there?
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't like that space. I didn't enjoy it because it's a little bit of like a void, or like, it's like you're like floating in outer space without any direction, because before that I was just doing what society taught me, what I used to believe is right, what I was going towards, because I was just, kind of like these things that you attach to yourself, and you're just like, okay, that's just what it is. Like, we do X, Y, and Z, and we just do it. So when I started to enter the space and to be in this space of kind of like, pushing that away and being with myself, yes, in the beginning it was a little bit like, what's the point? Like, where are we? What am I? Like, you know what I mean? It was not comfortable, and I didn't like it, to be very honest. And I think it even lasted for like a month, maybe. And it was not a comfortable space. It was not a nice space. But when I entered it, I didn't necessarily continue right away to ask, like, okay, wait, what do I want to create? I was still just in that like empty void, right? But then I remembered, wait a minute, let me ask myself, what do I want to have? And then I really like this. I was like, you know what? Like, let me go shop around. Like, I might not know what I desire, but let me look around. Let me see what I like, what I'm drawn to, and that will trigger some sort of desire or energy that will make me interested. So, like Elugar, for example, it was very funny because I'm very well versed with geography, probably more than most people. But I don't know the exact location of every South American country. So when I was like, I'm going to El Lugar, and I'm like, oh my God, that's probably like a 20-hour flight from US. And you have to jump over, chickens while you fly on this chicken coop. And then when I realized that I want to go, and I chose it. And I remember laying in my living room and on my phone, I'm like looking at Google Maps and I'm like, how long does it take to get to Costa Rica? And I'm like, it's a 5 hour flight direct? What are you talking about? It is all like imaginary thing of like traveling to Uruguay, which is extremely far, just shattered. And it was so much easier and so much more accessible. And yeah, and I was like, wow, I want to go and spend some time in El Lugar in this beautiful space and go to Costa Rica. I've never been so in tropics or in jungle. And so so it didn't like trigger, ignite, I don't know whatever word you want to use, but kind of like looking around and shopping and be like, like I like that. I think I will go after that. That's light for me. So then that kind of like the aspect of desire came back. And my
Mm.
desire started to be like, wow, yes, you know what? I want to create change in the world. That's light for me. Wow, I do want to have an abundant life. That's light for me. You know what? I want to facilitate people. Oh, that's so light for me. So then I started to clear up that space of emptiness and actually start to be clear. Wow, these are my true desires. That's what I'm craving for. That's what lights me up. That's what brings me joy. And then the next step, which I'm sure you know, is to be like fully choosing it, right? And you'd be like, okay, I like it. If it resonates with me, it means it wants me to have it, which I love that teaching, right? Like it's not by accident that it's both. It's two-way relationship, right? If you desire a house, a relationship, or a car, there's a very big chance that it wants you to have it also. So then it became much more of like this creative space of, okay, choosing that, choosing that, choosing this, choosing this, choosing this, choosing this. And then it kind of like you pick up the steam and kind of just like you're like, ooh, like nice. Like what else? What else? Let's go. Let's go. More, 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 more. So that discomfort of being in the void cleared and we just entered like this creative space of generation, creation, etc.
Oh, I love it. Okay. So you clear, I'm just going through the steps for the
Yeah.
people. You cleared out all the crap that was never your desires in the first place, which I think a lot of us have that, the pressures of society, of family, all that stuff. So you start to like clear that out. Maybe you have some void time. You might be in the void, which a lot of people do. They have that blank space.
Yeah.
And then you can actually shop around and you could look at what are other people creating, what are some possibilities in the world, and start to bring those into your life and choose them. So as you're choosing these things, which is starting to create a whole different life for you, right? So it actually we kind of think that maybe one choice is linear and it's like this choice leads to this choice, but it's like one choice breaks into like a million possibilities, and then you choose one of them and it breaks into so and then that's when you start to talk about you're in this flow of just asking and choosing. How did you start to see, or have you started to see your whole life start to actualize differently from as you start to go, like almost the snowball effect of all these choices?
Mm. Um, You know what's interesting? When that step came to me, what the residue or still that call of fantasy came in, and just being
Mm,
like, oh, you just it will just show up. It will just you don't need to do much. You just need to choose, and that's it. You need to forget about it, right, or something like that. So that was my response. I'm sure everyone has a different one, right? And with different situations, you have different stuff coming to you. But to me, that was one of the first kind of like things that I wanted to step over is like, okay, if I'm choosing it, it's not about that I'm letting go of a dream that it can show up right now, tomorrow, or whatever. It's about me also, and I love this quote, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
yeah.
That's we have a little bit more ability to kind of control, right? It's a matter of when it comes to you. If, and I think this is so essential also to remember, is that the universe, the creator, whatever you want to call it, it wants to give you.
Hmm.
And that's essential. Like it wants to provide to you. The moment you have a desire, the entire system is like, wow, how do we satisfy Casey's desires? How do we satisfy Casey's choice, desire, etc.? How do we satisfy Michael's choice, desire, and craving, right? So that's an essential part, I think, also to this thing, that it's not a matter of whether or not you deserve it, or are you worthy of it, right?
Yes.
Oh, well, you're not worthy of having a relationship or having abundance or something. That's a story we tell ourselves just to limit your ability to create, right? And that's an essential one that I'm still working on this one, right? Like being like, wow, can you imagine that the moment I desire something and choose it, the entire universe is like here. But it's up to me to also be like, wait a minute, okay, how can I actualize it? How can I bring it into my reality? What steps will it create? I love that example. Like you choose one and it explodes into another one. Like you actualize something and boom, you go into another reality. So for me, it was you choose it, and then you kind of stay in that choice. You
Mm.
kind of keep choosing it. You kind of like, okay, you know what? I'm choosing today that choice right now. Okay, can I contribute something to it? What can I do to generate it? What can I do to create it? What requires of me right now? So then you go into the artistic side, the creative side, which is like you activating your creative and artistic side, where you're like, you know, maybe I need to call this person. Maybe I need to go here. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe you honor the awarenesses that come to you, that like are tapping to you, that will 100% not be linear, right? They will never be linear. Like, oh, this is the formula. This is exactly how you create. This, etc. It doesn't exist. The moment you open yourself up and the moment you are in that question, whatever taps to you, you gotta honor it.
Mm.
You gotta say, you know what? Boom. It's coming to me for a reason. It might not make sense. It might not make logical sense to me, but it's so light for me that I gotta choose it.
And I love how you use the words, I've got to honor it. Like
Yeah,
it's an honoring of the ping, which is an honoring of the choice, which is an honoring of the life that you're creating, which is an honoring of you. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
that's
totally.
that's so cool. So can you share with me, how does family come into this for you?
hmm
Yeah, with you when you're creating your life, are you involving them? Are you just going rogue and hoping they're going to come along for the ride? Like, yeah, tell me about that.
Rough question.
Sorry.
Right to the core. That's a great question. I can share what my experience was, right? And I'm married, and you have an amazing wife, and we have an amazing creatorship together. Um,
And a little kiddo.
yes, yes, yes. It's amazing. Oh, such a cutie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when that came in, it was very interesting because my desires, and that was my perception again, but my desires and my choices were kind of like a little bit bigger than ours were together before.
Right. Yeah.
It was a little bit of like an uncomfort of being like, hey, I'm actually desiring to go here. And for my wife to be like, interesting, I'm not there, I'm here. And it was not a comfortable place where it was like, you know what, I have to be willing to, in order for me to honor this, I need to be willing to remove and kind of like close the relationship as it is now
Mm.
and allow it to go to another level for me to get here and for my partner to have an invitation to either join me or see where it goes, right? And
Yeah.
we're very open with that. We're very like, hey, that doesn't like align with me, right? But it was not a comfortable place necessarily where it's like your partner might not choose that, right? One thing that came to me was like, oh, you have to be on board exactly the same way in order for me to have.
Right.
I'm glad you're laughing. Because that was very funny, right? But
Yeah.
it was very strong for me. I was like, wow, in order for me to create this, if you're not here, you're an obstacle for me. Like you're holding me down, and you are not, supporting me. And that was my movie. That was my story. That was what's happening in my head. That was nothing to do with reality. And that's where kind of like, destroying our relationship from where it was, right?
Yeah.
Took it to another place where I'm like, okay, I gotta own it. I can't use her as an excuse that, I'm not getting what I desire because she's not X, Y, and Z. Right. But that's in general, that's my thing where I put a little bit too much emphasis and blame on my partner.
Well, I love that though, because how many stories and movies and all that stuff actually do emulate that? So it's like you have to be together, you're one half of each other, and like it has to look that way when it might, and if not, they're an obstacle, but what if they could be a contribution no matter where they want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I
so yeah, go ahead.
want to share one more thing, which is very, again, Gary Douglas, right? Like such a genius. And there's a quote that maybe you remember it. There's a quote that he said that in order to create the life you want to have, you have to be willing to let go of the people that are closest or most dear to you. Something in that line. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that's what I'm doing. I'm hoarding our relationship, this person, in order to prevent me from going into the future, right? To create what I truly desire. And what's really beautiful with that, and I got to it like a few months ago, is like, wow, you know what? I'm willing to let go of a relationship because I actually know that we're not really separable. We have such a oneness that it doesn't matter what it is on the daily engagement. It wasn't even like, oh, no, we can't do that. I can't lose her. Because it was like, that's not gonna happen. What am I talking about? That's not a possibility. And that was just like, that was a light bulb or atomic bomb moment. And
Yeah.
you gotta be, in order to, I think this is a great message for whoever's listening and for whoever wants to create your life, is you gotta be also be willing to lose or not have certain people in your life in order to create the life that you want to have. So, and I'm sure everyone has that. Like for example, my mom was not so happy with my choices,
Mm.
right? When I started my, evolution and when I started my journey, she was like, "What are you doing? Like, get a job, work, and do this. What are you talking about? Like, what?" And I didn't have this awareness, and I did it a little bit rebelliously. But I was like, you know what? I gotta be willing for her not to be agreeing with my choices, not to be supporting them, and to be in a way kind of like loser in
Hmm.
the way it was. Of course, in the long term, I got so much more of me, and our relationship is so great now, right? And we have so much more connection, etc. But you do need to take that. I don't know. Maybe you have something to add to this, like uncomfortable step, or you know what I mean? Like, be like, you know what? If that's what it means, then it's better. It's more honoring of me to for us to part than to try to make something that doesn't work.
Yeah. Oh, I think you said it so beautifully. And there can be that moment of total fear that comes up of like, and we start to try and presume what that all means. Like
Yeah,
if I'm, and here I want to say, willing to let someone go does not mean, will you let someone go? It means you're just willing. Like you
yeah,
said, you're willing to have it fall apart. You're willing for them to walk away if they need to. If that's more honoring
yeah,
than for them to walk away, then wouldn't you want that? You know? And so you have to be having this willingness, and that's where I think people get locked up because they're so afraid that if I open this door, if I'm willing to, then it will happen and my worst fears are going to come true. But what I've in my life and most people I've worked with, like they'll have that moment of like, oh my God. And then they're like, okay, I'm willing. I'm gonna follow the energy. I'm gonna see what shows up. I'm willing to have this go away. And more often than not, it gets greater rather than go away. And the things that do go away after a little time, you're like, thank God that went away. You're just so grateful.
so true.
Yeah. So that's a really powerful step to be able to go, okay, I'm scared shitless, but yeah, my mom
Yeah,
might hate me, my family might kick me out, my wife might leave me, whatever, and just be like, but if you're committed, which you mentioned earlier, if you're really committed to you and the life that you're creating,
yeah,
if that was what you were more committed to than committed to a person, which that could bring up stuff for married people. But it's like if you commit to your life, it includes who you're married with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's always going to be a handicap. It's always going to be something like unspoken and undiscussed, but it's like a like it's an elephant in a room. It's like it's always there that you don't want to address. And as you were talking, something came to me. It's also, imagine if you are in a relationship and you want to make it a greater relationship, you need to have that moment, that conversation where you both or one of you is like, you know what, I'm not happy with this.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean the relationship or something is bad. It's about you desiring to make it better, to make it greater, to make it more, right? So, but if you're constantly going to be like, we avoid conversation, we avoid, we avoid expression and being vulnerable and saying what we desire, you're only, belittling and limiting of how much you're gonna get, right? And that limits for everyone also. That's so important to know. Like when you limit you, it limits everyone. It's not just you and make someone greater. That's a big lie that I think most of us believe in. It's like, oh, if I belittle my desires, oh, because it will make that person happy, right? And I gotta make the other person happy. No, like honor you, honor you, and honor and respect your desires. Yeah.
Can you talk just a little bit more about that? Because I think that's huge, where we're so bred to be like the best partner sacrifice for the other partner like that. And you're really talking about a different perspective where it's like when you honor you, they get more. So can you talk more about that? How do they get more?
How do they get? What a great question. Um, I'm a little bit blank now, to be fair. But you know what? I think what's key is that we are raised in such a conditioned way that you are meant to make things outside of you happy. Make your parent happy, make your mom happy, make your dad happy, make the school happy, make your work happy, make your everything around you. You kind of are more focused on what is outside of you instead of being more internal and being like, wait a minute, what about me? Right? And the fact that the truth is when you do that, that is how you honor everything around you. Because I love this teaching that it says that your relationship with you, how you treat yourself, is the common denominator of how you're going to treat everything around you.
Mm.
So if you don't have trust, honor, and respect towards you, towards your desires, and towards your being, you're not really honoring, respecting, or you know, um, trusting, or anyone outside of you. Like imagine how powerful that is, right? We're not taught that way, right? We're like, consider your partner, consider your parents, consider God, consider something outside of you, always the cause, always the source, but it's your relationship with you. Your relationship with yourself is how you're gonna do anything else with anyone outside, right? So it's a hard truth, but you got to tell yourself that if you're not doing it to yourself, you're actually not doing it to anyone.
Yeah.
If you're not respecting yourself, you're not as much respecting the other person. If you're not honoring yourself, you're never gonna really honor other people, right? It's a very like harsh awakening, but that's what it is. That's what your relationship is with you is the base of everything. Like you want to experience more kindness, you got to be kind to you. You want to have more compassion, you got to be more compassionate to you, right? And when you start to invite that energy, when you start to invite that consciousness and that energy into your life, then you know how to do it with other people. Then you know how to, you know what I mean? Oh,
Yeah.
that's what kindness means. I also studied theta healing. It's also a really special practice. And the founder of Advantage, she says something beautiful. She's like, if you start your day with, for example, having acts of kindness to you, you're going to build that ability to sense what is kindness. And
Mm.
then you're going to know what it means to do it for other people, because maybe you don't have that base, you don't have that like sense of it all the time. But once you start to practice it to you, then you're like, oh, this is what kindness is, right? So I think it's much more energetic, right? It's not like you can define it or
Yeah.
that cognitively, right?
I love that. And just circling back around to the thing you said about oneness, like your oneness with her, right? That's also brings into light where when you're creating your life greater, everyone you're in choosing oneness with, and I mean, we are technically oneness with everyone, but let's just, for cognitive sake, the ones you're connected to. Um, so if you grow and we're part of an ocean and the ocean is growing, then of course their life is going to grow. Like, of course their life is going to get greater. Their mind might not agree, like the mom or the whatever, the frustration, and they might not cognitively get it, but it's so beautiful if you get it anyways. If you're like, I know that they're pissed at me for choosing more right now, but I know like that because we are oneness, because we are in communion, that this is greater for everyone.
Yeah, so beautiful. So I just like sense that energy. Imagine you or anyone from this just waking up to this reality, to this awareness, just like, wow, it's like I gotta honor me. I gotta honor me. I gotta respect me. And if I'm doing that, that is the most honoring thing I do for the others, for my mom, dad, parent, partner, whatever it is. Your work, anything. The more you are in that space, the more you are actually being that energy, and the more of that energy is created in our universe. That's very beautiful.
Oh, I love this. I love this conversation. Thank you so much for being here and chatting with me today. Where can people find you? If people want more with you, maybe they want a session or a class or.
On I have an Instagram handle, Michael Ocher, very simple, and I think that's the best way.
Okay, cool. We'll put a link in the description below if anyone wants to connect with Michael. And I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Casey. Same. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you for exploring the curious universe with me. Your curiosity matters. And what if together we could create a greater, more curious world?